Hello, friends. Welcome, 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 welcome to Empowerment Moment with Dr. G, yours truly. I am so excited. I know every month I start off by saying I'm excited, and I'm excited because it's such a privilege and just an opportunity to give some thoughts or share my thoughts and the things that are happening in my neck of the woods. I am This is the eve or the month before my big celebration birthday. And I'm so just incredibly blessed to make it this far in life. And so anytime I have an opportunity to kind of think about how God has kept me and God has provided for me and God has led me, I just have to celebrate, no matter how challenging things may be or how stormy it be, there's always something to be thankful about. So I am so thankful for each one of you. I want to just acknowledge all my supporters. When we say supporters, I'm talking about my Go family supporters and also our Haven International family. I'm looking forward to being able to connect with my Haven family very soon. But in the meanwhile, while on this side of the continent, I just want to say hello to everyone. We're in the month of April 2023, and April is how we celebrate neurodiversity. We talked a little bit about that last month. And in this month, I had an opportunity to partner with my dear friend, Manisha Ladd and Kill Autism Foundation in being able to be a part of their global virtual neurodiversity symposium. Such a blessed time. I heard Temple Grandin speak, and I was just floored with this woman's knowledge and intelligence and passion. And it just validates why we're doing the work that we're doing in the first place. And so I want to just thank Manisha and her team for putting on such an amazing conference. You can access a lot of the material still on their website on KillAutismFoundation.org. So just partnering with great people who are doing great work all across the globe. So tonight, as always, and for if you're tuning in for the first time, just listening to me talk, this programming called Empowerment Moment with Dr. G started during 2020 when we were all forced to kind of get inside, and I moved a little bit away from the typical support group activities that we did and turned that into just coming and sharing my faith, particularly. Many a times when I meet people, they're like, well, what is the reason behind the smile that I have? Well, it's called my faith in Christ Jesus. And I use that as a tool to just remind people that we are where we are, the walk we have is bigger than us. And when you are able to connect to the one that created you, you are able to do so much more. But beyond just that, I also want to remind people that there's power in you. So yesterday I was with some amazing students, and I was telling the students yesterday that this is Rutgers. I'm a pharmacist by trade, and I had an opportunity to be with the MSOP and the FDU, New Jersey pharmacy programs students who are interested in pursuing what we call a pharmacy residency program. I'm blessed to be leading a pharmacy residency program at the hospital that I'm working at right now, Holy Name Medical Center. And so anytime that I have an opportunity to influence future pharmacy leaders, I am there. And they had emailed me about a week or two ago to be a part of their panel team. And of course, I couldn't say no. And I bring this story up because while I was with them, I was just so passionate about my work, and actually didn't even talk about my autism space at all. I actually focused on just really impressing upon them the importance of being confident. One of them was asking me the question of what's the key things that I, as a pharmacy practice program, residency program director, look for in a candidate. And the first thing I could say to them was be confident, be who God has called you to be. And I reminded them that there's so much power in them. And I had one group, so the way they set up the programming was that each group will come, about groups of about 8 to 10 students will come, and I was sitting with the pharmacy practice resident. So this is a what we call postgraduate 1-year resident who is also a pharmacist. And so we'll sit. And one person came and sat next to me, and she said, "Oh, I want to ask you, besides grades, do you look at anything else? Because I'm not smart." I looked at her like, how could you tell yourself you're not smart? You probably had like a 1,500 on the SAT to get into pharmacy school in the first place. But you just could see the lack of confidence, because I think sometimes when people are all grouped together who excel, right? At some point you start to feel like inferior. And it took everything in me to just say, what are you talking about? There's so much in you. How could you say you're not smart? But I think that concept, and I remember someone once saying it, that the whole concept of imposter syndrome kicks in, where you start to doubt your abilities and capabilities. And I had to remind them, I was just like, no, you're smart. You have so much to give. You just need to know how to use the tools that are available to you. So I was encouraging them to do like a mock interviews, before they go for the actual interview. So I'm just, if you're out there listening to me and perhaps you're looking for a job or you're pursuing a program, before you jump in to go do it and interview, if they call you, go do a mock interview. Let somebody drill the heck out of you. Create your CV, create your resume, and let somebody beat the heck out of it, because it's very important that you get beaten up by your loved ones than being out there. It reminds me of last week, I was interviewing a candidate for a position in my hospital, and he started going down the road of saying some things that I'm just like, clearly, and this is somebody who was Yale trained, did his residency training at Yale. And yet he came to the interview just so beat up. And I was just like, why? So I go tell this long-winded story to make the point that there's a value in being reminded that you are made for greatness. And no matter what you're going through, or no matter what challenges you're facing, no matter what people may perceive, you have value, and therefore you need to walk in your value. So that's one element that I want to share. But tonight, my theme topic, I don't have my sidekick Senna with me tonight, but I know that next month she'll be here. She's doing a program, but that's one of the sidekicks that I get. But tonight I'm talking about being hopeful. And I'm wanting to share the story that some of you may know this story, but some may not. And I want to use that as a means to remind you to be hopeful even in the midst of a storm. So there is a devotional that I was reading the other day, and oftentimes I take inspiration for reading the Bible or reading stories, and that's what fuels me and gets me going, and that's the power behind the work that we do for families, right? So I look at throughout the month of April, the multiple talks that I've had to do, individuals that I've had to speak to, program crowds that I've had to speak before. And one of the key things that I have drawn from talking is be really realizing that there needs to be authenticity in what we speak to. So if in order for you to be valued, or what you have to say is be deemed as valuable, people have to believe that what you're saying, you believe in it yourself, right? So part of what I really draw inspiration from is my faith. And so I want to share a story with you. So if you've ever been to funerals of a Christian faith particularly, you might have heard a song that's called Peace Like a River. I'm not a psalmist or a great singer by any means, but I'm sure you've heard that song. When peace like a river attended my ways. So you've heard that song, right? So I'm bringing back my high school chorus. So you've heard that song. That song is a source of great comfort, right? Well, that song was written by a man called Horatio Spafford. And he was a Christian who lived in Chicago in the 1860s. The history about him is that he was a lawyer, and he was an investor, had a wife, and had 6 children. and everything was going well. Isn't it like that for most of us? Things may seem to be going well, great. Things seems to be lined up. Everybody's looking at you and thinking, wow, your life must be really, really great, right? And if you've heard about the Great Fire in Chicago, and during that period, well, that's what happened to him. That Great Fire of Chicago in Chicago destroyed his real estate. So not only did he and the loss was deemed very significant, very, very, very significant. But that loss of the physical loss does not compare to the tragedy that he will later on experience 2 years later, when his wife and daughters were in a shipwreck as they sailed from New York to England. So he went through fire, lost so much, and then 2 years later. And 4 of his daughters died in that shipwreck. So when his wife got to England, she sent a telegram. Back then it's a telegram, and it can take a long time to get to the person. And to Horatio, and the telegram said, so that telegram said, saved alone. So here it is that his wife was alive, but had lost the girls. I can only imagine what this man must have been going through. So Horatio Spafford got this telegram and left Chicago right away, sailing off to go meet his grieving wife. We don't know much about his journey across this Atlantic, but I have to imagine that this man spent days alone, right? Thinking, we can only imagine getting this horrific news and grieving his loss. Could imagine him questioning his God. Why does, this thing happen? Many a time people have a loss and they say, well, how could it have happened? I can imagine that he was probably staring out of the window at the sea while he was reading maybe a biblical account. If you've read the Bible, you probably heard a story of a man called Job. And he, like Horatio, also had been blessed with so much resources, and he had great friends. He had wonderful people all around him. And in a blink of an eye, he lost it all. And his friends came, and even his wife said to him, why don't you curse God and die? So I can imagine Horatio hearing this story about his 4 children, and I can only imagine, I can't even anticipate that. But we don't know much about what happened while he was on that ship sailing from Chicago to England. But one thing we do know is this: as the ship crossed over to the spot where the man's daughters were now resting in peace, can you imagine? He's on a ship and it passes the very spot where his daughters perished. And it's noted that Horatio Spafford wrote these words: when peace like a river attend my way, when sorrow like sea billows roll, whatever my lot has taught me, that has taught me to say, it is well, it is well with my soul. That's what this man wrote. And almost over 200 years later, many of us draw comfort from this song that this man wrote. The song has become part of his legacy. The song has become part of his legacy. The song has been a source of inspiration. The song is something that many of us who have lost loved ones will draw inspiration from. So when peace like a river attend my way, when sorrow like sea billows roll, whatever my lot, you have taught me to say, it is well, it is well, it is well with my soul. I'm adding that extra, it is well. Why? Because this man lost his loved one, but he still had peace like a river. He experienced and tapped into the peace that comes from God. Spafford had a hope that was not rooted in himself. His ability to push through the suffering of losing his 4 children, or even the fact that his wife had miraculously survived the crash and was waiting for him across the sea. That's not where his hope came from. From what the song shows us, his hope was rooted in something more deeper. And that's really what I want to encourage you with, is that like Spafford, Horatio Spafford, his hope was in Christ Jesus and the work of the cross. And as he wrote the second verse of that song, When Peace Like a River, he wrote it like this. He said, when Satan should buffet, and though trials should come, let this blessed assurance control that Christ has regarded my helpless estate, and he has shed his own blood for my soul. This man, you know, some of us in the Christian faith believe that sometimes the thief comes to kill, to steal, and to destroy. He comes like a flood. Things can hit you in the gut, and you feel like, wow, I have nothing left. But like this man, Horatio Spafford, losing his children in the middle of an ocean passing by, he was able to pen these words to a song that many of us sing as a source of comfort. And the reality is because of where his faith. That song has continued to be a source of inspiration. Why? Because his faith was rooted in the God who understood his pain, the God who created him, the God who could support him, the God who could encourage him, the God, and he believed that because that same God watched his only son, Jesus, died on the cross, pained, hurt. So that is the reason that some of us can go through trials and tribulations and know that we can get through on the other side. You know, so many a times, whatever trials I'm facing, whatever challenges I may be going through, I think of a man like Spafford losing 4 children all at the same time. You know, so if you lose a job, you lose a loved one, you're working on a project, you're facing a layoff, whatever it may be, like Spafford, I would encourage you to look at the Christ who created you, who know your pain, who know what it is. And like Spafford, turn in and say, it is well. It is well with my soul. I would leave us with one scripture. Romans 8:28 says, we know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. God causes all things to work together for you and I. He will, he does. So as we go about our day, the culture around us can feel pressed in, situations can seem overwhelming, adversities can come, and it will come. Things will fall, but you will rise. So like Spafford, we have a hope. You have a hope. You and I have a hope that God will cause even our pain not to stay painful, but it will be used to be a blessing to someone. So if you're listening to me tonight, if you logged on to it tonight, Tad, welcome to the to the inside the Zoom room. Who would have thought that this was designed just for you to hear it? You know, that whatever you're going through, however, wherever the emptiness may feel like, there's a God that will fill you up. And he says, my peace I give you, not as the world gives. Be encouraged. So if you're someone listening to me, maybe you lost a loved one, you're missing your loved one, I just want to encourage you tonight. Put your hope in Christ Jesus. Trust him and he will cause you to stand, because he does cause all things to work together for your good. I thought I would share this story about this man. So anytime you hear that song, When Peace Like a River, know that there was someone who wrote that song out of pain. And yet that song, if you listen to the lyrics and you pay attention, it could bring you a source of comfort. And, you know, your comfort that you experience will be used at some point for somebody else. And that's why we're a community. I started my goal, I've always shared this, because I wanted to be a part of a community. And I wanted for God to use my pain, my disappointment, my hurts to be a source of encouragement to somebody else. It doesn't mean that we don't have moments where we feel overwhelmed, but we don't stay there. We get up and we keep going. We keep pressing. We keep pushing. That's the story. I don't know about you. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. So if you're listening to me, I started off by saying that, you know, there is a need to be hopeful no matter what you're going through. And that's why we're here. So in this neurodiversity month, call it neurodiversity because it's a month that we recognize all the neurodivergent individuals with different abilities, capabilities, strengths, and we're all that way. We continue to press in and press on. So I want to thank you as always for listening in. And just to kind of give some few announcements. So this coming Sunday is our annual Bowling for Autism. Believe it or not, it's our 15th year. 15 years of this amazing. And the money raised goes to support families that are facing autism, individuals between the ages of 0 to 18. We provide resources for them. And so we also have the Family Grant Program. If you go to My Goal Inc., MyGoal, mygoalinc.org, mygoalinc.org, you will find information about our grant program. We still have 2 more days for you to apply, a few more days to apply, actually. So if you go to mygoalinc.org, mygoalinc.org, you can find some information about the grant program. And I invite you to apply. All you do need to do is complete the paperwork and get your doctor to certify. So resources raised by this organization is definitely to get back to our families. It also supports all the initiatives that we do. If you are interested in learning more about My Goal, please check out our website, mygoalinc.org. So we have that program that we offer families. And then we also continually do programming. So in the month of May, we're going to be doing our Mother's Celebration. I'm putting it out there. It's going to be on Saturday, May 20th. So if you're a mom in New Jersey and you want to come to Central Jersey, we're going to have a very special treat for you. And it's just for you. So mark the dates. Please mark the date for May 20th, around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So Pat, you're in here, you're hearing it. Please save the date. I would love to make sure we celebrate the moms. May 20th. It's a Saturday. We want to celebrate them. And then we always have great activities and programming coming towards the other month ahead of us. So I just wanted to mark the date. So this coming Sunday, April 30th, we'll be bowling for autism. It's going to be at Woodbridge Bowling Lanes. And we want you to check it out, register. So log on to our website, mygolink.org, for more information. The event starts at 2 p.m. We've had a lot of people registering, so don't be left out. Be a part of a great outing upcoming this Sunday. Like I said, this event is to support our families. We want to just acknowledge all our families who are watching us from all over the world. We love you and appreciate you. And like I said, I come on here just to kind of chit chat, tell you all the stuff that I'm thinking about, meditating on, reflecting on, and then hopefully it encourages you and spurs you on. So I love you from the bottom of my heart. My love to all my families back in Ghana, and then of course the folks in UK and all over the world. We just want to say we appreciate you and love on you. I also want to put a plug into the Regional Planning Family Councils. The Region 5 is doing an event this Saturday. It's going to be at the Mercer Arc. We're doing a program on it. So it's a special needs parent, so this is after diagnosis or what. It's going to be doing some discussion around individualized education planning. So do check it out if you're interested in that. That's really, really important. I really believe educated parents really are empowered and great advocates. So I want to encourage you to check it out because this is very, very, so the ARC the program will start at 10 a.m. So, you're welcome to come. So Google the Mercer ARC. That's where the event is going to be held. So on that note, I love on you. I appreciate God in you. You're doing a fantastic job with your family, especially I'm talking to my families that are raising their loved ones that need extra support. Just continue to just push in, press in, and continue to maintain your spirit of hope, because no matter what's happening around you, God will supply everything you need to do the great work He's called you for. I love you. And till we see you next time. Bye-bye for now.